Brentford 2, West Ham United 0. What a poor performance, really. I guess we never really expect much from this game against Brentford, away or at home. But it keeps happening, doesn't it? We don't seem to be able to compete with certain teams in the Premier League that we should be on par with, if not better than. Brighton, Brentford. Now we're beginning to sort of, keep losing against teams like Palace, Fulham. Teams like that should be teams around us that we should be competing against, giving a good game against. And we just don't seem to raise our effort, really, when it comes to playing against teams like this. And it's such a shame. It's a surprise. Brentford are very well organised. You know, they've got their 2 goals. I mean, the first goal, if you're going to blame Areola for the first goal against Alkmaar last Thursday, then you've got to put the blame on Fabianski for not saving that goal today. Went under him. Shouldn't have done, really. And then their second goal from a set piece, a long throw. I mean, goodness me, why do we... we got a decent defence, especially aerially, and, the long throw, a flick on and then a goal. I mean, seriously, 2 poor goals given away, and they were done and dusted, really. Brentford didn't really have to come out and do anything in the second half, just contain us. And they didn't really need to contain, it wasn't difficult for them to contain us. We had nothing really to show for our efforts. We had a golden patch, 5-minute golden patch in the second half where it led to the goal by Ings, but it was disallowed. Now, I don't know about you, but it came off the bar or the post, hit Mbama on the shoulder, and then Ings scored. And yet... we've gotten goals for that. Last season, Dawson scored, for a ball that hit him on his arm. This whole handball situation is really irritating. Lindelof, the way he moved his arm out against us, against Man United, for Man United, and that wasn't given a penalty. And yet, today, the ball hit Mbama on the shoulder, and it was a disallowed goal. Look, would it have made a difference? Probably not. But who knows? We were sort of like beginning to be on the up at that point. So maybe if that goal had been allowed, who knows what would have happened in the last sort of 15, 20 minutes. But anyway, lackluster performance. I think it sort of demonstrated that we don't have as good a strength in depth as we thought we had. Unfortunately, there were a number of players out there that should have been fighting for the shirt, telling David Moyes that he was wrong not to pick them. Fornals, poor game. Cornet, poor game. Irony, I've been saying since Cornet's been back, why is he not getting any game time? And I think it was just proven to me today why. Because he absolutely showed nothing. Ings being asked to play in an Antonio role that just doesn't suit him, unfortunately. Downs came out with some credit, he always seems to. Ben Johnson seems to be going backwards. He's regressing in his... It just seems to be a player that just doesn't seem to know what to do in a West Ham shirt, and it's a real shame. We were poor. We were sort of like bereft of ideas. Like I said, we had a golden patch. We had a small patch of good play in the second half when we should have when we got that goal that was disallowed. But other than that, just didn't show any real effort. We didn't show any real desire, and we made it easy for Brentford. We wanted to go away from today, something to cheer, something to hang on to, something to cheer about when we go to Alkmaar this week. Someone said to me that apparently last season when we lost against Brentford, the next game was away to Lyon and we went out and smashed them. So maybe that's a sign. Clutching at straws? Probably am. I don't know. Look, not a great performance, really, really poor. A lot of the players that should have shown something to demonstrate that they're good enough to be picked didn't do that either. Made it easy for Brentford. They've become a big bogey team like Brighton have done, and I think we're safe, even despite today's game. Leeds United are going to have to win their last 2 games and win by a big margin, I think, but something like 6 goals to overtake us. Southampton, as we know, are down already, and then we're kind of relying on Leicester to lose against Liverpool to make sure that we're safe. But as I said before, a team should never have to rely on other teams to lose in order to stay in the Premier League. It should be on merit. And I don't know. It has been a season of 3 teams worse than us, unfortunately. But I think we're safe despite the defeat today. So we've now got the Europa Conference to sort of hold on to sort of have something to cheer about for this poor Premier League season. If we do that, big questions about Moyes. I know there's an awful lot of talk about he's going, he's not going. Sky Sports said earlier today or late last night that the West Ham United, the board want to keep him. I don't know. Let's see. I think winning the Europa Conference is absolutely crucial now. If we win the Europa Conference, then I wonder if Moyes even wants to stay, or maybe he'll just sort of say, I've won a trophy, I'm off. If we keep him, I think Moyes will have until Christmas to sort of demonstrate that he can do things better and differently. We need a rebuild. I know he talked in his press conference that he needs tweaking of the squad. It needs more than tweaking. We don't have a second team. Quite a lot of players have been poor. Lanzini, Fornals, Cornet, Ings just can't do the role that we're asked him to do. Ben Johnson. We need another mini rebuild, unfortunately. At least another 5 players to come in. That ain't tweaking. We had 8 come in last summer. But if Moyes is relying on the old guard to do it again next season, we were lucky to get away with relegation this season. But we may not be as lucky next season. If he's relying on Ogbonna, Fabianski, Antonio, those sorts of players to pull it out of the bag, I just don't think we'll have enough next season. So it's not a tweak that we need. It's another rebuild, unfortunately. Is Moyes the right man to do it? I guess the jury's out on that. Some fans will say if he wins the Europa Conference and keeps us in the Premier League, then that should be good enough. And other fans are saying, despite all of that, even if he wins the Europa Conference, he should be gone. I'll leave you lot to decide. I can't make my mind up anymore. I was very much for Moyes staying, and then I started to think that maybe he wasn't the right man. I don't know anymore. Perhaps he's not the right man to keep us going next season. But he'll only have a season left, and I wonder if we do win the Europa Conference, maybe the board will keep him, see what happens by next Christmas. If it's not going well, then they might just pay him off for the last 6 months of his contract. Let's see. Anyway, poor result today, poor performance. Our B team, or whatever you want to call it, didn't deliver. Downs, I think, was a decent player. I think Ogbonna, reliable, but nonetheless, like I said, that second goal, our defence should have kept that out. No one did well, unfortunately. No one sort of I can pick out that was, I would say, is probably ready for next season, being in the first team. Downs maybe. And Barmer showed great promise. And well done to him. He wanted to go out there and fight for the ball. But anyway, it is what it is. We go on to Outmore in midweek, flying out there on Wednesday, the game on Thursday, and then coming back on Friday. So I'll bring you some reports when I'm out there. There might be a West Ham Weekly on Monday night. I'll keep you informed of that. Thank you for watching, and see you all soon.